Just really a couple of weeks ago, our USA men's team qualified for the Olympics, and a grueling, grueling tournament followed by some downtime for Matt Anderson, who we talk to now in West Seneca, New York, outside of Buffalo. And Matt, how do you decompress from something like that?
Well, it's definitely a very daunting task going into the World Cup, but we put a lot of effort in preparation going into it, so that when we got there, we could play really free, and know that all our hard work had prepared us to be the best that we could be at that moment. After everything, it's still kind of settling in that we have qualified for the Olympics. We won the World Cup, and it takes a huge weight off our shoulders. So it's more of a, how do you deal with the relaxing feeling versus how do you deal with the excitement? Because we've won together before, World League last summer, and then third place this year, which we wanted to win it again, but things happen. But after World Cup, we all kind of dispersed pretty quickly and go to our pro teams and doing our last minute things before we have to head overseas again. So there's not very much time to debrief together. A lot of us will have individual conversations with John and the other coaching staff to prepare us for the following summer, what things we have to work on. But right now it's kind of everybody takes care of their own stuff. Once we get settled in overseas, then we'll have our debriefing and go from there. So it's not an immediate debrief, but it's kind of more just an enjoyment and be happy.
Yeah, you should be really happy. What are your plans right now?
My plans, I am going to go take care of some cell phone service stuff and pack my bags. I'm waiting on my visa for my Russian visa so that I can book my flight and get over there. But doing some slight management of some nagging injuries, and then there's not much time before we get going with World Club Championships in Brazil with my pro team.
Wow, it's you come off of such an intense tournament, and then of course international play is pretty intense because they pay you a lot of money and expect high standards. So you've got to just gear right up again. What's it like to live over there in the winter?
Well, it's definitely not a very comfortable situation to be in. The weather is harsh. It's cold, it's windy, but the best thing about our sport is we play indoor. So the weather outside doesn't necessarily affect us. But it's you got to leave a little earlier than you used to, because you never know how the roads are going to be. You never know if there's going to be an accident. But I enjoy getting to the gym early, having a coffee, talking to the teammates about what's going on in their lives, and it breeds a little bit more of a personal relationship with each other, and therefore you can play harder for each other when you know more stuff about them, their families, and their true passion for the sport.
You for an outsider looking in, it's a most unlikely story. Kid from upstate New York who plays boys volleyball at the time, which is really probably kind of rare even for you as a kid to end up in the situation you're in. Can you just tell people who are watching about how the path took you from there to Penn State to where you are now?
Well, I was definitely fortunate to have family friends that got me into volleyball. My family grew up playing. My sisters played, all my older sisters played, and my grandfather played in the Senior Olympics. So it's been in the family. And then a family friend actually got me out of baseball and soccer to start playing volleyball. And once that kind of happened, things just started falling into place. And I had a club coach that came after me and asked me to play for them, which was Eden Volleyball Club, which was ran by Robert Pierce at the time. And he's a past alumni from Penn State. And when it got to the point where I was selected for an A2 high performance camp with the USA Volleyball organization, things started falling into place more with college coaches. Your name gets put on the radar, and Penn State has a pretty good monopoly, or had a really good monopoly at the time, of Northeastern kids that were decent in volleyball that showed promise to continue to excel at the next level. And having Robert Pierce kind of in my corner and fighting for me to get Pav and Dennis Holenschel at the time to start recruiting me was awesome. And it put me on their stage. So when I made the decision to go there versus other universities, it was a family-based decision. Like most decisions in my life are family based. It's far enough away from home where I could grow as an individual, but close enough that my family could come and watch me play still, and I can be home for the holidays. From then, it was, goes back to when I got in the door with the A2 high performance camp with USA Volleyball. And then I got to the youth team and then the junior team. And it kind of just starts spiraling and going further and further until it's kind of almost out of my control. And I'm just going for the next best thing. And eventually, I got to the top. I got to the A team and where my goal was. But I had to set goals almost immediately for the next thing. And if I didn't, I don't think that I would be able to sit where I am in the world of volleyball.
It's to me, fascinating story that the way it unfolded. For this past tournament in Japan, for you guys to win the World Cup, it's intriguing to me that you have so many young players on there. You're a seasoned veteran, if you will. And if you could talk a little bit about maybe helping some of these young guys along, especially like former Penn State guy, Aaron Russell, maybe Taylor Sander, Micah Christensen. That's got to be a really cool aspect of it for you.
Yeah, it is really fun for me to sit back and watch these players grow, right in front of my eyes. And to them, it may not be a big difference, but for me, I see it because we're winning points and we're putting ourselves in better positions to compete against these best teams in the world and show that we are one of them. And, obviously the relationship with Aaron is a little bit more intimate because he's a Penn Stater. And, I'm all about huge with family, and it's a driving factor behind most of the things I do in my life. And to be part of that community, that family, I feel a little bit more drive to help him, just because I want to see him succeed amongst us and amongst the international community of volleyball. It's definitely been a change in me and a learning process for me to be a leader out there. As you say, I am one of the veterans on the team now, and it's not a position that I've been in very often. I think the last time was maybe my junior year in college. And even then I wasn't even thinking about it because we had seniors above us still. And it's something that I've struggled with at times. I don't necessarily know the impact I have with body language, with aggravation that I experience on the court. And to kind of keep that away from exploding and seeping out into the other teammates, and therefore having them come down a little bit and not be as aggressive or as energetic as they need to be for us to win. And, this is something I work closely with John and with psychologists outside of the court and behind the scenes that I feel has elevated my game, not just personally, but also with the team, because it allows them to feed off of me and use me as a constant for them to go from.
So this has been fantastic stuff, and I really enjoy it. I hope everybody watching has too. Let's do another one of these after you settle in Russia and
Okay.
figure out the time zone and catch up in a few months, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, certainly.
This is great. Matt Anderson in West Seneca, New York, headed to Russia, and take care of those little details. And we're both glad neither of our dogs bark, so it all worked out great.
Yeah, right on, man. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it.